Hi, and welcome back to the Web TV studio here at the Stockholm School of Economics in Sweden at Handelsdagarna 2018. Our next guest is a former SSE student who graduated here with a master's in exchange studies at the University of St. Gallen. After his studies, he joined Morgan Stanley, where he worked for 6 years before joining EQT here in Stockholm. Welcome to the studio, Per Franzén.
Thank you. Very good to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here. I understand that you, way back in the day, were here involved in arranging Handelsdagarna.
That's right.
And were you engaged in any other things within SASA as well?
Yes, so I was part of the committee arranging these days, and I was also part of the business committee. And I think also actually involved in a couple of other committees here, but I don't exactly recall. But it was feels like a long time ago. But I had a really great time here. So.
Yeah, we were talking about that. There used to be open sky here now. Now there's roofs. A lot of things have changed.
That's right. Yes,
we'd be standing outside right now in coats.
Yeah.
We're going to switch over a bit to EQT. In a recent interview with Dagens Industri, you said that the private equity business that you guys are in is benefiting from a large amount of capital flowing over from hedge funds with low returns to your firms. And our question is just, you have the capital side, the funding side, but what do you guys at EQT need to do to receive that and sustain long-term growth?
Yeah, it's a great question. At EQT, we firmly believe that business is local. So we've invested a lot in building out the largest and best investment teams on the ground in our core markets. We have a track record of successfully investing in healthcare, TMT and services. And in those industries, we believe that we have access to a unique network of talent. So combining this local presence with our sector expertise, we believe gives us a clear edge over competition in terms of sourcing unique and primary investment opportunities for our clients. So to give you a couple of examples, over the past years, we've been able to win primary deals such as Farkplast in Denmark, a company that we acquired from the founding family. We did the public to private of IFS here in Sweden, Kony in Switzerland, and then we successfully carved out Apleona out of Bilfinger in Germany. So we're really convinced that this local infrastructure that we have invested in our core markets, together with our sector focus, gives us a long-term sustainable competitive advantage over our competition. And we think that it's quite hard and also very expensive to replicate this EQT setup.
And like you just said, you talk a lot about being local with locals, the advantages you spoke a bit about there. Can you tell us a little about when you guys are choosing places to expand to, open offices in, because you've been doing that very rapidly recently. What do you look for, and are there any future plans of expansion?
So we look at a number of criteria when opening up new offices in new countries. We look at the size of the private equity market in that country. We look at the number of opportunities in our core sectors. We look at the level of competition and also EQT's differentiation in that particular market. Ultimately, obviously, it also comes down to us being able to find and recruit the right talent that shares our values and our mindset, and that has the same passion for building and developing companies as we do. I think another interesting aspect, actually, in our internationalization efforts is that it's also closely linked to our desire to be able to support our portfolio companies when it comes to their global expansion plans. So to give you an example, most of the sectors that we're invested in, North America often represents 50% or more of the global market. That's the case for Anticimex in pest control or IFS in the ERP software market. And now that we are firmly established in the US, have a team of more than 50 people on the ground in New York, that clearly makes it much easier for us to be able to support our portfolio companies in terms of pursuing add-on acquisitions or recruiting key talent to the management team or the board of directors. So if you apply that type of logic and that framework, I think another natural region for us to continue our expansion into would be Asia.
Okay.
We already have 3 offices in Asia, in Shanghai, Singapore, and Hong Kong. So I would expect us to continue to invest into those teams, build out those teams, but also to open up new offices in new countries in that region.
You brought up there your expansion to Asia, and right now it's currently mid-market operations, correct? The expansion, so you're saying that you probably could foresee some expansion of equity as well as maybe other operations?
Potentially, you know, on the equity side, potentially also other investment strategies. Yes.
And we're talking a lot of long-term and bigger pictures here. This year, you've been starting to cap off funding for your 8th fund, EQT VIII. Can you tell us a little bit about how that process has gone and where you guys are at right now?
Unfortunately, I cannot comment on specific fundraisings for legal reasons, but what I can say is that the fundraising market for private equity continues to be very strong. Investors all over the world continue to search for yield in the low interest rate environment that we're living in. And private equity as an asset class has been one of the most successful asset classes over the past decade or so. So institutions continue to want to get exposure to private equity. Another interesting trend we're seeing in the market is that more and more capital gets allocated to fewer and fewer accounts, which means that the larger private equity platforms are taking market share. And this is a trend that's also benefiting a player such as EQT. We're an international firm with 550 employees in 14 offices all over the globe, and we offer our clients a number of different investment strategies across asset classes.
And also, you're expanding not only geographically and across services and asset classes, but you've also, in recent years, started EQT Ventures, a VC operation within EQT. Can you tell us, I know you don't work directly with ventures, but can you tell us a little bit about what EQT Ventures is?
Basically, it's a separate investment strategy alongside you know, all of the other successful ones that were already operating: equity, mid-market, real estate, infrastructure. And we believe that it was very natural for EQT to also launch a venture capital business line, because we've always had a growth-oriented mindset when it comes to our investment philosophy at EQT. On top of that, we also see you know, great across business lines benefits in terms of us having a venture capital business line. It gives us more in-house expertise in terms of helping our established companies in more mature industries, also future-proofing their business models. It gives us access to talent in a way that many of our single business line focused competitors just don't have. So that was a little bit the thought behind launching venture, and they're off to a good start. They've done a number of exciting investments, and I think it will be very exciting to follow going forward.
Definitely. Because I mean, they're coming in a very active entrepreneurship startup environment here in Stockholm, Berlin, Europe in general now.
That's
catching up to Silicon Valley in the distance. Have they had any struggles with acquiring clients, or has EQT really been a good brand name for them to be able to leverage your attributes?
No, I think they're seeing really strong deal flow at EQT Ventures, and as you say, access to talent is also very good here in Stockholm because it's a really entrepreneurial environment with lots of new startups and so forth. So, and then you on top of that have the fact that EQT really is a globally established brand name. So also outside of the Nordics, they've had strong deal flow and also access to talent.
Okay, and bringing us to talent then, we're here at a big Handelsdagarna event, a job fair, where people are trying to sell themselves and sell their talents. EQT, you guys mostly do industry hires. Can you tell us a little bit about if someone in the future wants to work at EQT, what normal paths are or what you guys are looking for?
Yep. As you say, we don't really recruit directly from university or from school. We're looking for people with relevant education and work experience. When we do recruit talent at EQT, what we're looking for is people that have a genuine interest in business and a commercial acumen. Obviously also people that share our culture and our values. I would say that anywhere where you think that post-graduating from the Stockholm School of Economics, where you can get this experience and develop your commercial judgment further, is a good place to start. Another piece of advice I would give is that I wouldn't wait too long with sending in your application to EQT if you're interested in a career with us. A good time is typically 2 to 3 years after you have embarked on your professional career. Normally we recruit at the associate level. We have a fairly well-developed in-house training and development program, and we really prefer to promote people internally at EQT. Our culture, I think, is a very entrepreneurial one, respectful, but also informal. So if you join EQT, you should expect to get a lot of responsibility quickly and early on in your career. Already at the associate level, you'll be exposed to senior business people and also important investment decisions.
Okay, wow, great. That's a great answer. It gives a lot of valuable insight. You probably don't know how much that means to students watching to hear exact timelines and things like that. One question that we got from some very guys from the business committee actually that were looking to learn a little bit more at EQT is your talent pool at EQT. What are the exact talents that you guys need when you're trying to turn your companies, your portfolio companies, from good to great? What do you need operationally in place to do that besides, I guess, financial and valuation skills?
That's a great question. So, I mean, it really starts at the investment or in the investment organization and the culture and mindset that we've developed over the past 20 years or so, right? We really look for good companies with potential in attractive industries where we can accelerate growth. And then once we have identified and acquired those businesses, we apply our unique ownership model. And that ownership model is really all about helping and supporting our businesses to realize their full potential and to implement our ambitious and growth-oriented value creation plans. Very often, as you allude to, when we sell our companies, they actually look completely different compared to our entry. And this type of transformation we achieve through our way of working with our businesses. And one important pillar of our ownership model is our how we recruit to the board of directors, right? And this is a very thorough process, and also something we make great investments into. At EQT, we've put together a team that proactively is managing our network of industrial advisors. And out of this network, we typically recruit board members that have an appropriate operational background and relevant sector expertise so that they then can support our portfolio company management teams in driving the business forward. Another important part of the ownership model is obviously, as we spoke a little bit about earlier, that we are able to help our companies get access to talent and to recruit key management positions. And here I think it helps that we have a global organization, a strong and good brand name. People basically know that we acquire good companies in attractive industries, and that's very attractive, right? They also know that we're a global firm and have global growth ambitions. And finally, we've also made investments at EQT. We've put together a digital team and digital and marketing team that proactively works with our portfolio companies and management teams to help them future-proof their businesses, to help them implement their digital strategies. So to give you two examples, for instance, in Anticimex, this team is helping the Anticimex CEO and management team to digitize the business model and implement digital marketing initiatives. In the case of Eaton, this team is helping the company accelerate the online channel, which is becoming increasingly important as we want to transform Eaton into a true omni-channel business. So that's how we work, yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I have to say one of the things that I think most students see and that I definitely see is that EQT, you guys, your marketing and branding team is much stronger than most of your competitors. I'm not sure if you're allowed to say that. I'll say it.
That's very good to hear. Yeah.
When you look at your website and everything, it's very clean. And I understand how that translates to value for your clients.
Transparency is actually one of our core values as well, so it's very good to hear.
And that brings us right to ethics then. You talk about future-proofing your companies. When you leave companies and ultimately realize your investment, what do you guys have any ethics around leaving the companies in a good state? And oftentimes, can you tell us about the companies once you've left them? Do they just pan off, or do they stay and grow?
Yeah, no, very good question. I mean, at EQT, we're really focused about building a sustainable investment organization. And in order to have a sustainable business model as a private equity firm, you also need to have a good reputation as a seller of companies. And so we actually very carefully track and monitor how our businesses are doing also post our exit. And we're very proud of the track record that we have in terms of successfully listing and floating companies, and the fact that I think it's 15 out of 16 portfolio businesses that we have listed have actually performed better than their respective indices, so that they continue to do well also after we exit. And as we spoke about earlier, our ownership model is very focused on also future-proofing our companies during our ownership period, and this is basically the result of that.
For maybe people that aren't as into finance, I mean, there's a lot of things you can study here at SSE. Like you said, you have strong marketing teams, and I assume you're acquiring a lot of digital competences now with the next wave and transformation of the implementation of artificial intelligence into business models, which I believe you did a bit with Anticimex.
Yes.
Is there other ways to work at EQT apart from what you do? Can you tell us about the path to maybe marketing or the digital team?
Absolutely. No, so I think we have, out of the 550 employees that we have, approximately 300 work in the investment organization. So there's always career opportunities there across the investment strategies and asset classes. But then we also offer exciting career opportunities in specialist functions, such as the digital and marketing team at EQT, but also HR, legal, communications. So whatever your background or interest, I mean, there's opportunities in those areas. So and the way is I would say is just encourage people to send in their applications to our HR department.
And is that done via your website or via the application, to send in an application?
Yes, you can do that via our website,
Okay. And our last question is regarding culture in the day. We've spoken a lot about big things, but how is a day at EQT? What's the office environment like? Is it a good culture that you believe you guys have?
I think it's a very good culture. As I alluded to earlier, it's really informal, entrepreneurial. So I would say that You will no day will be similar to the previous day. You will get new challenges and new learning experience every day, and that's what makes it also so rewarding. But I think we're also focused on having a right work-life balance. I think in the case of myself, I mean, I started as an associate at EQT, and back then I just got married. Actually, since then we've had 4 children together, my wife and I, and I have breakfast and dinner with them almost every day. So that's also important to us. Yeah.
That's a big thing. That sounds great to hear, especially despite the amount of work that I understand that you do. Thank you so much for your time and all your valuable insight. It's really been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you. It's been great to be here. Yeah.
Thank you.